What up, fam? I got a real quick one for you today. I got a real big project I'm working on, like I said, and I have this information, but this is breaking news, okay? I want to get this all out there. I'm not going to be able to break it down fully right now, but I just want to get it out there, and then later on I'll come back and I'll break down some other details, okay? So there's three things that I want you guys to know. Very, 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 very important right now, okay? So thing number one, so the FDA just expanded the release of Neuralace. If you're not familiar with Neuralace is the injectable neural link. You know, they show all the cables hanging out the back of their head and giving people without legs the ability to walk again with like prosthetics and things like that. Well, Neuralace is the injectable version. Okay, but this is the twist right here. They secretly changed the name and they're disguising it. Okay, it is called Wrist BCI. Okay, be on the lookout for Wrist BCI. Why the wrist? Particularly, they talking about the right wrist. Well, if you know about the right wrist in the Bible, tag you on the right wrist and on your forehead. Okay, you know about that. But check this out. The wrist turns out to be a neurological pathway for the synapses in the brain. It basically mirrors what your brain does, okay, in your wrist. That's where a lot of the nerves converge in your wrist. Okay, who would have thought? I don't know. The Bible said it thousands of years ago, but check this out. So they're now marketing as Wrist BCI. And of all people and all companies that are going to start pushing it is Facebook. Okay, if you know about Mark Zuckerberg, you already know. If you know, you know. But this is the twist right here. I want to get this all out there. So Trump just recently had a meeting with Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. You know, if you know, you know. Okay, I just want to get this out there. There's three things I want to tell you guys. Okay, so they're going to start marketing this. They're going to start telling people that this is less invasive. You don't have to get brain surgery, but we really want everybody to get this mark on their wrist. It's going to be like on their outside. Okay, so check this out. Recently, Trump has been sick, they say, right? But he recently appeared, and look at his wrist. Okay, just look at the wrist, but notice the handshake too. If you know about Masonic handshakes and secret handshakes, look at his finger placement. Who shakes hands with your index on another man's inner wrist? Listen, so this is not to say that he got the Neuralace, but this is symbolic at bare minimum, family. They just expanded to multiple countries at the same time, and then here comes Trump showing off his bruised wrist. This is the proximity of where it would be at on your wrist if you was to get it. It says in Revelation 13:15 that the beast will be able to speak. Now with this BCI technology, it's literally giving voice back to people who cannot speak. So literally, if there's a fleshly vessel, he will be able to speak through the BCI technology, family. All right, number two. So we just had our full moon, right, for the last couple of days. Now, I really want you to think about this. Now, if you was outside this morning, you saw the full moon in broad daylight. Check this out. What the mainstream scientists have been telling us is we only see the moon because it's reflecting sunlight. Do you understand that that would mean that we should have a full moon and all moon cycles every day? If the sunlight is the reason we see the moon, we should have all phases of the moon every single day. The sun appears to lap the moon in the sky, right? So as the moon is in the sky and the sun is coming from the horizon, you should start seeing the crescent on the moon. And then as the sun gets closer to the moon, we should start getting more of a fuller moon effect. But that's not what we experience, is it? We get little changes in the moon phases every day, right? It should be multiple phases of the moon daily. You know what I'm saying? If you get what I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying. So think about it, family. How are we having 2 consecutive and consistent days of full moons? What happened to the sun going on the other side of the earth? Why we still got the full moon in the daytime? Why do we still got the full moon at the nighttime? Like, what's going on? When does it ever shade? You know what I'm saying? And supposedly the moon is not giving off its own light. But when you actually measure the type of light that the moon is giving off, it's giving off fluorescent lighting. And the sun is known to give off incandescent lighting. Those are 2 separate lightings. So if the moon was just reflected sunlight, don't you think the moon will also give off incandescent light? You know what I'm saying? The moon is its own light, like the Bible said. All right, family, number three. Number three, probably the most important. You let me know which one y'all appreciate most out of these 3 right here. So number 3, hard evidence of firmament proof. Okay, we have different air pressures on this earth. Okay, and let's take the most extremes. If you're not familiar with air pressure, Imagine layers above your head. The lower in elevation you are, the more levels you have above you, right? So the higher you go up, the less air pressure you have, right? So when you go up into the mountains, you get lightheaded. Now, the most simplest way to think about this is look at the continent of Australia compared to Antarctica, right? Antarctica has an elevation of 7,500 feet on average, and it's very low air pressure up there, very low air pressure over there. But when you go to a place like Australia, with the elevation is about 1,000, you have very high pressure. So the common denominator is they're reading the air pressure based off of a certain cap. They are comparing it to a certain cap. So the cap is closer to you when you are highly elevated, like in Antarctica. You have less between you and the cap. As in when you go to Australia, you have a lower elevation. So you have more between you and the cap. The physical structure, family. The information is all there. You can pull up air pressure maps, family, and you can see it for yourself. All right, on that note, like I said, I got a big project I'm working on. I got to get up out of here. I think this project that I'm working on is gonna be very big, so I'm humbly praying that it gets out there. Stay vigilant, family. Keep God in your prayers and be a nice person. Pick up the scriptures, okay? It is not a fairy tale book. I promise you that. I promise you that. All right, on that note, friends, family, my people, I'm out.